The New York sports where the city never sleeps and the passion roars. From the Bronx to Brooklyn, we're talking it all. Yankees, Mets, Knicks, Jets, Giants, let's ball. Sean Ho runs the name, he's calling the plays, breaking it down in the loudest of ways. Hot takes, headlines, the games that you missed, your all access pass to the ultimate list. New York pride runs deep, we wear it like a crown. So strap in, folks, Sean's taking you around. This is Sean Around's Playbook, you're in the zone. Let's hit the mic, the stage is yours.
Let's go. Time to get started today. What a day. The last Friday in September. Haven't even made it to October yet, and the Giants season is already over. Already over. I mean, that game against the Chiefs, I'll cover it a little bit, a little bit into the podcast. Thank you for joining us again on Sean's Playbook. This is our second episode. We're a little bit behind. I was going to try and put out maybe like 2 or 3 a week. Life's just been busy, so we haven't been able to really get that far. But yeah, excited. Second episode. So we kind of missed the reaction window. I'll cover the game from last week that the Giants played a little bit, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it. New quarterback, new playbook, hopefully new looking offense. Let's be honest, it has not been great. Only when they're playing the Cowboys defense, which is, one of the few teams that have been worse than the Giants defense. That defense, overrated, right? Like, come on, what is going on there? So we got a few new segments that I thought up over the week. Gonna first start it off with a song from our sponsors. So here it is, just a little quick segment from our sponsors, and then we'll get into it.
Welcome to Sean's Playbook, the sponsor-free zone. Way zone. We're lonely, we're waiting by the phone. Got a brand or a biz, we'd love to chat. Call us now, we'll sell your cat. No jingles, no plugs, just pure airtime. Our ad slots are empty, a real sad climb. Be the hero our show truly needs. Sponsor us and plant those seeds. Sean's Playbook needs you, don't make us beg. Email today, we'll grovel on one leg.
So yeah, if you're looking to advertise and you want a place that doesn't have any followers or listeners yet, this is it. Give me a call, write a comment on here, and we will set something up for you. You can get a premium rate for being the first subscriber, and then everything after that, you're going to have to pay top dollar. So you should get in now before the listeners. I know it sounds counterintuitive. It's not a good business decision, but if you want to, I got a spot for you. Alrighty. So next, we're going on to the next segment here. This was one I thought up immediately following the Giants game. So it was going to be probably a little bit better in a reactionary zone, but here we are leading into this, and I think honestly with the news of the Giants going to Jackson Dart, now I've been hearing a few things about this. Tiki Barber, who's a former Giant, he had on his afternoon show with Evan and Roberts this week, I believe it was Tuesday, they had on someone named Connor Hughes, who's a Giants reporter. Tiki Barber in the building a lot too. He's doing the pregame show, so he's around the locker rooms. He knows a thing or two, and I think he knows a little bit more than he leads on that afternoon show. So they were saying Jackson Dart, if there was a fair and even quarterback competition from the beginning of training camp, Jackson Dart would have won the job. And the reason he didn't was that, one, they either had a pre-existing agreement with Russell Wilson, but he's only on a 1-year deal. And if you're not holding up your end of the contract to be the QB1 and you're not playing like the QB1, then you're sitting. It doesn't matter, especially with a guy like Brian Daboll, whose job is on the line. He didn't have a good week last week. Man, that kicker situation, again, just disorganization in the franchise. I did touch on that on the last podcast where I was kind of saying, like, seems like there's always one part of the team that's just some dysfunction sewn into it. And again, for the third year in a row, it was the kicker. I don't know if that's more on Brian Daboll or if that's on Joe Shane or if that's just on the organization, because that's what this once proud franchise has become. So, with that being said, we're going to get into this next segment, and we got an intro song for it, like always. So, here it is.
Hey, hey, Sean, your ass, calling out the plays that crash. If you're slipping, if you're slacking, Sean's coming for the action. Sean, your ass, New York sports better move fast. Mess it up and you won't pass. Sean, your ass, Sean, your ass, Sean, your rip it up, call it out. That's what Sean's about.
All right, yeah, there you go. There's the name of it. It's Sean Your Ass, where I get on the people's ass, because when they mess up, someone's got to hold them accountable. And with a lot of these New York teams, I don't see any accountability. It sounds like I'm going to speak about the Yankees, but for now, they get a pass. They've been playing pretty well, and they've somehow managed to even up the division. And, with the half game, essentially, I would say they're like a half game back. Being in a tie with the Blue Jays, you have to overcome the tiebreaker, which they don't. So, half a game back from the Blue Jays. And so they're going to get a pass right here. If things start to go south, I got a lot I can get on about Brian Cashman, Hal, Aaron Boone, the way they handled Volpe, which I'll talk about a little bit further along the line in the podcast today. But today, for Sean Your Ass, we are getting on the one, the only, the moronic John Miserable Mara. What a failed owner. I mean, honestly. The proud and storied Giants sound so strange to me. I'm 30 years old. 31. Yeah, I've seen 2 Super Bowls by 2 teams who lucked into it. They were never like a dynasty like you saw the Chiefs, the Eagles are now doing. You never saw that continued playoff success like you get from like a team. I know they're not doing well this year, but the Cowboys seem to always have their nose right in it. They're able to rebuild. The Steelers, they're always in it. How many winning seasons have the Ravens had? Same with the Steelers. It's just that even the Browns have honestly had a little bit better success than the Giants have in the last 10 years. I'd say the product that the Cleveland Browns put on the field in the last 10 years has been far superior to what anything the Giants have put on. And now, this isn't just one GM failing like the Yankees have Brian Cashman, who can't push the team across the finish line in who knows how long. This isn't just players underperforming. This isn't just a bad coach like the Yankees have in Aaron Boone, which, whatever. Maybe he should stick to his gut a little bit more than the numbers. We'll save that conversation for a later time, because this Giant dysfunction is something you have never seen. Actually, maybe you have. They share a building. The Jets. The Giants and Jets, they're just clones of each other. One wears green, one wears blue, and they're the both same miserable football you've got. Even the Bills have turned it around before the Giants and Jets could. It's how many coaches come into this town for the Giants? How many coaches, how many GMs, how many quarterbacks, how many coordinators, how many scouts, how many people have to come in and just mess it up at every level? How many? I mean, let's think. Let's go. I got it up here. I'm going to look at the Giants' last 10 years. So this is going from Tom Coughlin's last year to this year. So Tom Coughlin, he gets fired. Not good. Tom Coughlin, a couple of poor seasons. I mean, honestly, these seasons are like kind of the best of what the current last 10-year Giants could hope to accomplish. So Tom Coughlin coming on his third straight losing year, 6-10, 2015. Tom Coughlin gets fired. They bring in Ben McAdoo. This is a lot of Tom Coughlin's roster still. 2016, they go 11-5. You're like, wow, they kind of turned it around. They're not too bad. They go on the boat trip. Failed. Couldn't come through in the playoffs, that boat trip. The next year, hung over from the boat trip, a hangover that lasted, 6 years until they got to their next winning season. So then you have Ben McAdoo who goes to the playoffs in his first year. Next year, 3-13, doesn't even make it to full 2017, gets fired. Steve Spagnuolo comes in as the interim head coach. Then you move to 2018. Pat Shurmur is there. He's supposed to be this offensive genius. It looks putrid. 2018, 5-11. 2019, 4-12. Joe Judge comes in after that. Pat Shurmur at least made it through 2019. Joe Judge comes in. Oh, you're seeing this culture change. You're seeing this guy who was rolling around in the puddles with the players before 1 year, and I was so stupid, just like I am now for being a Giants fan. Like, oh, this guy's getting down in there. Look at him go. What a coach. I mean, these guys are really going to want to play for them. Yeah, they really played well. 6-13. Joe Judge then 2021, 4-13. The infamous QB sneak year. He's fired. Then they bring in Brian Daboll for their first winning season since 2016. In 2022, 9-7-1. They win their first playoff game against the Vikings. Then they get crushed in the divisional playoffs by the Eagles. And since that game against the Eagles, they are a combined 9-25. If you include that Eagles game, they're 9-26. And then that's going into this year. So then if you include this year, they're 9-29 since that playoff game. And they are essentially a 1-3 team, I guess. So 1-3. Let's see. That's let's see, what would that be if you convert that down? So it's 4. So 4 goes into, we'll say 16 4 times. So you got times everything by 4. So they're a 4-13 team. 4-13. That's what they are since Brian Daboll's, or since however long. The bottom line is they're not good. Talking about their dysfunction is making my brain have dysfunction. So anyway, what was that? That was 3 GMs, 4 head coaches. I mean, that's failure at every level, no matter which way you slice it down. You can't have that kind of sustained losing and dysfunction and terribleness. It's like someone was, failing a math test every year. And you would say, okay, let's change the arms, let's change the legs, let's change the stomach, we'll change the chest, we'll change everything but the head, because the head is what makes them who they are. And it's much of the same for the Giants and any professional sports team. The head is what they are. If you have a good owner, you're going to be a good team. If you have a bad owner, you're going to be a bad team. It's like a business. These teams have become so corporate, but they can't understand that it's like running a business. So if you have a bad owner who doesn't know what they're doing, maybe they should bring in a board of directors who does, someone who can advise them with some football sense. John Mara, you are awful. Your team is terrible. They don't sustain success. They sustain failure. And let's just go back to even just looking at this current administration. I won't even touch on the failure of Joe Judge, how that guy gets in the door as a coach. Let's go to Brian Daboll. And we'll go with Joe Schoen, and we'll talk about these two guys. A large part of me believes they did not want Daniel Jones. I think Brian Daboll was not trying to coach him up, which if that was the agreement they had with ownership, probably pretty foolish of them to get in there. But anyway, so in training camp, it comes out that Daboll's this genius because Daniel Jones has success in that first year, right? So as the season's going on, people are saying, "Oh, Daboll, look at what he did with Josh Allen. Look what he's doing to Daniel Jones. He's not turning the ball over anymore. He's not just handing out free candy to the defense. No, he's actually like game managing, getting the ball down the field, not putting up the best numbers. I wouldn't even say they were that good, but at least there was no turnovers." And so then people are saying, "Oh, Daboll's a genius. Yeah, he's a genius. Look at this." He did not he told the defense what the offense was doing in training camp. And now look at how well Daniel Jones is able to adjust and make plays and do things. What a genius Daboll is. I feel like he was probably just trying to make the kid look bad so they could tell ownership, "Let's boot him out of here." Threw the guy in his face. Have you ever seen Daboll chew anyone else out like he chewed out Daniel Jones? And now here we are believing that Daniel Jones really was deserving of this kind of ridicule. I've never seen Daboll chew out anyone like that. And I watched James Hudson make three horrible plays. Penalties. Really bad things that it would, if I was the coach, man, the only way I would have not been yelling at him would be if he knocked me out, because I would have been going crazy after him. No, that would not fly on my team. I would make it known it doesn't fly on my team. But the only person you ever saw Brian Daboll do that to is Daniel Jones. He did not like him. I don't think Joe Shane liked him. I don't think either of them liked him. And then they have this great season in 22. They're like, "All right, now we're going to try and make this a little bit tougher for you. We're going to open up the playbook." They struggle. But Daniel Jones, because of that great season in 22, he got a contract from a pair of guys who didn't really like him. And that contract prevented them from re-signing Saquon Barkley, who went to the Eagles and won a Super Bowl. And so I think the interference on that contract came from ownership, because if Daniel Jones was actually their guy and Daboll believed in him, then they could have given him a more solid contract. That thing was a 2-year deal for $80 million or something like that. Essentially, like $160 million for 4 was total BS. They released him halfway through as soon as they could. He was never destined for success here. You see him having success with the Colts. I mean, I hope it continues for him. He's a good kid. He was always trying his hardest, but he just sucked for us. If he does well there, good for him. If not, then yeah, I guess finally the Giants got one thing right. And so Mara influenced that, and then you see Mara agreeing to do the first ever off-season Hard Knocks. So now every single move is under a microscope, more than it already had. You put yourself on a national stage. Normally it's just the guys over at WFAN going off about the Giants and how they think the Giants have made some bad signings. You know, it's the Giants can float under the public radar because they've been so irrelevant. But you put them on the national stage, that's when they became the meme. You said, "Look at us. We're a joke." They were a joke already, but there was still some pride, a shred of dignity left. But now you open up the big stage and you say, "Oh, look at me. I'm John Mara. I want my GM who had a bad season and my coach who had a bad season to be under the public microscope with a camera watching them make every single move that they're about to. Oh, they can't have a real and honest conversation about a player anymore because they're on camera. Oh, man, what a great idea that is. Oh, look at this. At least it won't interfere with the season." You would have been better off. Would have been better off to just have him in there during the season. So if a guy messes up, you know, whatever, they're getting chewed out on camera. Big deal. But with this, it's different. You're talking about what a guy's worth. You can't really give a fair and honest opinion of someone who you don't think's worth much with a camera on you. Can you? No, you can't. It's ridiculous. I mean, honestly, the dysfunction, it extends into the HBO Hard Knocks. That's how bad the Giants are. Like, that's how much dysfunction this owner represents. And I haven't even got to the kicker yet about how the NFL's meritocracy, and this guy is just having nepotism all throughout the organization. But I'll get there. Let's just go through the facts and the evidence, and we'll get there. But yeah, let's start with the Giants and how bad they've played. So that's where we are now. Oh, God. So they can't re-sign Barkley, and he walks. He goes to the Eagles that year. That's when they won the Super Bowl last year. And then the Giants are just getting dragged through the coals because of that, right? Just getting dragged through the coals. They go 3-14 in 2024. And I kind of just am going to skip 2023 because I hate reliving this. It's terrible. The Giants suck. That opening game is just enough to talk about, and then we can move on to the next season. So I'll talk about it. My dad and my sister went to that game. They were so excited. I was so excited. I was like, wow, they got Darren Waller. They're going to take the next step. They really made some big differences here. Daniel Jones, wow, look at this guy. He's going to take the next step under this Brian Daboll offense. The guy's a genius. I mean, how could they not? They're going to close the gap on the Eagles and the Cowboys. Wink Martindale don't make it through. Daniel Jones don't make it through. Those stupid Century jerseys definitely didn't make it through. Yeah, it is what it is. The Giants are dysfunctional. They lost that first game 40-0. It rained, it poured. Everyone, when you say don't rain on my parade, you're just saying don't let me be a Giants fan in week 1 of 2023. 40-0 against the Cowboys. Andrew Thomas don't make it through. He gets hurt. Gano got hurt. Blocked field goal. Oh my God, man. Oh, geez. All right. Well, we'll move on to the next year, 2024, 3-14. Andrew Thomas gets the Liz Frank injury. He's out. He continues to miss from that year. Now Daniel Jones gets released in this year after starting off really poorly again. He goes to the Vikings, a franchise who's competitive a lot of the time. Rarely has there been a season where the Vikings have been bad. He studies under a real head coach who doesn't matter the quarterback you give him, he'll find a way to win games, right? Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, not looking too good so far, but, it's still early. The kid's just getting started. He's always hurt, though. That's the problem. He can't stay on the field. He can't learn. Can't get that valuable NFL experience that Jackson Dart's going to start to get this year. But, yeah, so J.J. McCarthy can't stay on the field. But, yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold, the Vikings coach, or what's his name? Forget it. Not important. Doesn't matter to this point. They're just going to move on. Vikings, good coach, good offense. Daniel Jones goes and studies under them, gets into a pretty good situation with the Colts, a much stronger offensive line than the Giants. A few more pieces there even than the Giants have. I mean, the Colts are a better team. You put a decent professional on their team like Daniel Jones, he's going to run the offense, and they're 3-0. So he studies with some real teams and plays a lot better. This is good for Daniel Jones. But back to the Giants. So now you have the deal that you give to Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. And this was the whole point of this that I was getting to, is that Russell Wilson gets the contract this year because they were trying to go after Rodgers, maybe. Who really knows what was even going on with that? Rodgers doesn't sign with them. They go and get Wilson. Did they have an agreement when they signed Wilson to a 1-year contract? I mean, unless there's language in the contract, which I really don't think as a competent GM you could ever have in there, or even if the NFL has laws or something, I don't know. But it just doesn't seem like something that would be in there. I don't even think Joe Shane is like that. I don't think that the Giants are that dysfunctional. They're pretty bad, but I don't think they're dysfunctional enough to put that kind of contract language in there. And then you have. So was there an agreement? And if it's just a verbal one, honestly, I know it's not the right thing to do, but who really even cares at this point? You're so bad for so long. it's the unfortunate truth of the Giants head coach that you're going to wear the last decade of failure on your sleeve until you start building things back together, until you start putting the pieces back in place and restoring that dignity and bringing some pride back to the Giants. You're going to wear the decade of failure on your chest. But once you conquer that, wow, you are going to go down as a legend. If you bring back some winning football for a sustained period of, I'd say, you'd probably get, like, if you could get a decade of winning football out of the Giants after this, you would be a legend in the Hall of Fame. You'd be going to Canton, Ohio. You'd be given the key to the city. People would name their children after you. It'd be that simple. So if there was an agreement with Russ and Jackson Dart is just outplaying him every day, there's more you can do with him. He's faster, he's bigger, he can throw over the middle of the field because Russell's a little bit smaller. Pressure starts to get in his face. It won't affect Jackson Dart as much, hopefully, in terms of just the ability to see the field. Mentally, there's another aspect to it. You have to understand what you're seeing. Hopefully that comes, and, Jackson Dart is just natural at it like some guys are, but you can do more with the offense. It gives you at least his physicality and size gives you a little bit more than what you can do with Russell Wilson currently. And so you're going to get the chance to open up the playbook now. And if that was the case from game one, you have the Commanders who you kind of hung in with. If the offense was playing well, you would have hung in there. And the Cowboys, who you should have beat the Cowboys. You had opportunities, but because your playbook was limited and all you could do was bomb it, it doesn't leave the defense off the field for very long. And they struggled. They looked bad. Maybe it's just because they're tired, because the offense is either bombing it for a huge deep play or going like 3 and out. Rarely a sustained drive from them. And when you do have the sustained drive, you're defending a field goal instead of a touchdown. So it's just mentally, I'm sure it's been tough for the defense. Obviously, inside linebackers not playing well, but you have to play complementary football. When your offense is struggling, you need to pick them up as a defense. And when your defense is struggling, you have to pick them up as an offense. The Giants couldn't do that. They have one side going and the other struggling. And when one side really needs to bail the other out, they just can't do it. So with that, we're going to move on to the next part of this. So Russell Wilson, no guarantee, or if there was a guarantee, you shouldn't have honored it if Jackson Dart was better. And that, again, is just straight organizational dysfunction. Just that could have been something from Mara, like, we've been bad for so long. I need to have a quality product on the field. You can't put this rookie out there, maybe. I don't know. But it seems like any decision that anyone makes under this guy is the wrong decision. So I'm going to say that he's been tilting his hand just like what he has with the Jets. I really am kind of hoping that Joe Shane and Daboll get fired, because I think things will come out about how it actually went, and I have a lot of questions about this. But I'll be just as happy, if Daboll turns it around with Jackson Dart. They go on a little winning streak for once. But good luck. And this is really, you're just going to – the opening to the season is softer than the 3 games that are about to come up right now. Even with the season on the line. Like, yeah, the season's over, so the losses don't really mean as much, I guess, as the first 3 losses. But you're going to look at this, you're going to say, okay, so we're going to go play the 3-0 Chargers at home. Then we're going to go to New Orleans, I believe. And then you have the Eagles. And then after the Eagles, you go to the Broncos and then back to play the Eagles. So this kid's going to have a really rough go to begin. There's no soft spot where it gets easier. It's just brutal until the end. So if you were going to wait, you might as well have just wrote it out with with Russ. I think this is an organizational move because already at week 4, the fans that aren't even mad anymore, they're just disinterested. They're just disillusioned. They're disenfranchised. They don't care. They don't want to see the loss anymore. They're not excited about anything. There's no reason to be. So you're going to risk your future for a small paycheck this year. I think it's just time to sell the team, Mara. If you're bleeding, it's because you can't run the organization well. You're not a good football owner. Sell the team. Invest the money. Go retire. Ask them to leave you a box so you can just come and always watch your Giants, even though it won't be your Giants anymore, hopefully, one day. Just sell the team. You're not a good owner. Just sell the team. And you might be screwing over some family members too, because like I mentioned earlier in the show, there is a point where it is unacceptable to hire your own family members. And I think 10 seasons of straight failure is enough of a reason to start making changes and saying, we're doing well with the Giants. I can support you in another role, but we have to move you out of this one. If you want to stay with the Giants, maybe you could go work with the social media team, but you can't be a scout anymore. You can't be an integral part of how the team functions. You go study medicine, come back, be a physical therapist or something. You know, you have the money and time to do it. Just go out there and choose something else. Because I need to sell the team. We're bleeding money, and the fans are sick of seeing it. And so if he is, passing up the qualified individuals to hire his own family, which I've seen posts and reports about his family only being in positions with the Giants. I could be wrong about that. If I am, I'm sorry, Mr. Mara, but I think you really should sell the team, and I don't think you should have any of your family working for you. It's just not really a good look at this point, and you need to shake it up at every level, I think. You get someone in there. Don't, talk to other owners who have gone through it to figure out how they got out of the hole. Think about guys who have come in, bought a team and had success, how they've rebuilt it. I would even reach out to the Colts owner. I mean, she got the team after Jim Irsay passed, and she got the team. She's in there. She's got these boys playing. All respect to her. Ask her what she did. How do you go from a prideful franchise to not a prideful franchise, and how do you get back? I want to be proud again. I want to look at this football Giants team and know that the players on the field are going to execute. So that's the showing you ass segment of the podcast. I don't really think I could beat a dead horse any further. John Miserable Mara, sell the team. You're a moron. Now moving on to the next part of the podcast. We'll talk a little bit about the Yankees, I guess. We'll go into that. So half a game back, essentially, from the Blue Jays since they don't own the tiebreaker. 91 win season so far, 91-68 with what we got here. 3 games left to go against the Orioles. That's what I thought. 3 games against the Orioles starting tonight, 7:05. Just go sweep them and see what happens. I mean, you got to win. The Red Sox are playing well. You don't want to slow down. Then you got the Blue Jays who are playing the Rays, and they start tonight at 7:07. So I would say there's probably a better chance that the Jays lose to the Rays than the Yankees lose to the Orioles, but anything can happen in baseball. And just sweep the Orioles, finish strong, and get locked in for the playoffs. It doesn't matter where you finish. You have to beat who's in front of you anyway. It would be nice to win the division, but just win baseball. Just keep winning baseball. Keep the foot on the pedal and keep going. That's all I'll say about the Yankees tonight. The Mets got same thing for the Mets. It's the same thing. Just keep playing winning baseball at the end of the year, because the team that gets hot now is the team that makes it in. Especially if the Mets win out after coming back, almost losing that wild card race, right? Almost losing that. And now you got 3 games against the Marlins after you take 2 of 3 against the Cubs. So go get the Marlins. Go hit. Pitchers need to come through for you. And let's just check what the Reds did today. Let's see. So the Reds, they haven't played yet. They're playing the Brewers. So there should be a better chance that you come out with, if you don't come out with a better record against the Marlins than the Reds do against the Brewers, there's a big problem there. And you got to reevaluate what you're doing. You should be in the playoffs, play winning baseball, get hot. This is the week. Get us a Subway Series. Let's go. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Mets. Come on, it's good for the city. All right, so moving on now from baseball. I think I pretty much said what I said about that. I just want the Yankees to win. Just want the Mets to win. Just finish playing hot. It did, like Joe Torre says, it doesn't matter what you did in the past. What matters is what you do for us now. You already might have lost the division, but you're still in it, so just play hard. So it's a Friday. Football's coming up. We had the game last night. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals to start off our 4th week of football already. It's crazy, and the Giants season's done. Who would have thought the Yankees and Mets would have a regular season that ends after the Giants and Jets regular season did? Oh, man, our teams are brutal for football. All right, so now let's get to the picks, right? Let's get to the picks. So here we are. Let's just see. Sorry, I'm producing my own show as I go, so I got some airtime, some kinks to work out in the program. It's a little okay, sorry about that. I just pressed the wrong thing on here, trying to get my next segment set up. All right, so the Friday parlays. Here we go. Here's the intro.
Oh, it's Friday, yeah, it's time to play. Let's parlay. 3 games lined up for Sunday's run. Touchdown flying under the sun. New York talking with second to none. It's the Friday parlay play. Stack it up and let it stay. Win or lose, we're here to slay. The Friday parlay play.
All right, welcome to the Friday parlay play. We're going to be using the lines that are on FanDuel New York, and let's look into this NFL weekend. So you have the Vikings and Steelers, but they're international. We're not going to touch that one. Eagles Bucks, good game, 1:00 at Tampa Bay. Eagles are favored -3.5. I think the Eagles are a good football team, but so are the Bucks. They haven't played their best football yet this year, I don't think. In Tampa, I think I would just take the Eagles money line there. But if I have to go with the spread, I probably don't touch that game. Saints at Buffalo, you got to over a 2-score line there. We're not gonna get involved with that. Let's see. So Giants are only less than a touchdown favorite at 6.5. I would take the Chargers at -6.5. Really good defense going with a really good coach from a really good organization, going against bad defense, underperforming defense, underperforming offense with a rookie quarterback making his first NFL debut, and with a less than ideal head coach, a less than ideal line, a less than ideal wide receiver core, a less than ideal tight end core. The only thing that you could really be like holding your hat proud about with that offense is Cam Scatterboo. Small guy, big motor. We love that. And it's going to be in front of a crowd that's if things start going south. Jackson Dart is going to get booed, I think. And it's because he is now the symbol for this Giants team. So I would take the Chargers -6.5. Easy money. Then you have the Commanders at the Falcons +2.5. Without their quarterback, the Falcons just got smacked around by the was it the Panthers? Yeah, I believe it was the Panthers last week. I think you take the Commanders +2.5 there, honestly. And then you have the Panthers +5.5 at New England. Colts versus Rams. Rams are 3.5 favorites. Honestly, the way the Colts have been playing, you're going to give them more than a field goal against the Rams. Good team. Probably should have beat the Eagles last week, but they didn't. So they're flawed. So one thing you got to understand about football teams: good teams will always find a way to win that game. Bad teams will find a way to lose it. So when you find ways to win more games than you lose, then you're a good team. When you're finding ways to lose games, you're a bad team. And through this first part of the schedule, they got that blocked field goal last week against the Eagles. Maybe there's a little bit of an emotional withdrawal after that rough loss to the Eagles there. So -3.5, but it's at LA. All right, so we're not going to fall into the trap of trusting Daniel Jones. You're going to take the 49ers -3.5 at home against the Jaguars, or the Ravens -2.5 on the road against the Chiefs. I don't know. I don't know if I like either of those two games. And then you have the Bears +1.5 against the Raiders. The Raiders not really giving me a lot there. The Bears not giving me a lot either, though. Jets +2.5 against the Dolphins. The Dolphins played the Bills well. The Jets have been playing poorly. The Jets, I think, are due for a win, though, and I think it's going to come in this Miami game. I think this new team, with the new coach, he'll have them prepared to play there. I'll take the Jets +2.5. So I'm going Jets +2.5, Commanders +2.5, and the Chargers -6.5. We'll see how that goes. We'll revisit it probably on the Jackson Dart reaction video next week. Coming up to the end of the podcast now. Thank you for listening and hanging out. If you want to, ask some questions that you want me to answer next week, just leave them on the on X. And thanks for coming through and listening to the podcast. We'll catch you guys again next week.